Hello everyone, this is Metal Kid Doc, and you see what I got here. I got a tier list, a Call of Duty Zombies maps. Yes, that's right. Today I'm going to be ranking every Call of Duty Zombies maps except for Vanguard and except for Ghost, because I haven't played either of those. I don't really want to play Ghosts, and yeah, this is actually my first time doing a recording without doing any script, following any script of some kind. So this ought to be fun. And so yeah. I'm not including anything from Vanguard because I do not want to play that, and I might play Ghost at some point, but that'll be at a future date. So yeah, and I've ranked them all in order, in map release order, so this ought to be interesting. So first and foremost, let's go in order. First we got Noctur Untoten. Do you know where I'm going to put that? Straight in the middle, because Noctur Untoten is the first ever map. And I might as well just give my opinions out on the map, because this is what a tier list is supposed to be for. And so yeah, I'm gonna also be, of course, making sure that these are, like, when I do finish the recordings of all these, I'll, like, make chapters and all. So if you want to see a specific game and how I rank each specific game, then you can do that. You can skip to whatever times those are. But let's start with Noctur Untoten. So Noctur Untoten's a pretty good map. It's got a lot of stuff going for it. For being the first map. It's of course the first map that has a mystery box, and it's your basic survival map, and I think, honestly, the World at War version is the best version of it. The reason why I say that is because, well, it's pretty much, you're not meant to survive for a long time on the map. It's supposed to be, it's the most like an endurance map ever. So what I mean by that is that there's no perks, there's only the mystery box to fend you off with, and wall weapons, but eventually those wall weapons are gonna start not really doing much to help you. And of course there's other versions of this map like BO1 and BO3, and those are good, but I think adding like Mule Kick and also like the Wonder Fist kind of takes away the point of the map. Like, I think Noctur Untoten is supposed to be that first ever map, like that sit and survive kind of thing. And so yeah, I'm just ranking it smack dab in the middle because you can't really rank it low, and you can't really rank it high. Oh, I might as well get my criteria out of the way. This is all opinion based. It's not factual. Of course, I'm gonna move some stuff down and up based on kind of how factual my opinion would be, but what I mean is that pretty much this is just gonna be like what would I want to boot up and like what would I want to play, and how much do I like the maps themselves, the atmosphere, the bosses, all that kind of stuff. Also, there's pretty much anything with the gameplay will pretty much be what scores the map high points. A story could be great, but the gameplay could be really crap. We'll get, oh, trust me, we'll get to, there's gonna be a certain one that's gonna be like that. Oh, excuse me, I had a burp for a second there. Next up on our list is Verrückt, the insane asylum, essentially, and I'm gonna actually put it in a good tier. So, Verrückt is a pretty good map, I'd say. It's the first map that introduced Perca-Colas and moving boxes, like the box can move now. Of course, it invented power, which is a staple for pretty much every single Zombies map, even the spin-offs. And yeah, it's got a really creepy atmosphere, and you can actually hear like a lot of screams of like patience. You can even hear a baby crying in like in like the BO3 version. And I'm gonna say the weakest version of Verrückt is definitely the BO1 version, mainly just because it's Wonder Weapon, because it has a Wonder Weapon, and it is not a good Wonder Weapon. It is the Winter's Howl, which was pretty much dumped on, because the only other map that had it is 5, and oh, trust me, we'll get to 5. I do like 5, but we need to go in order. And so, Verrückt, I like Verrückt. I do like that they added the Wunderwaffe in BO3, and I think it's the best adapted World at War map in BO3 Zombies Chronicles. Like, I think if I were to boot up a version of Verrückt, I would totally not be opposed to playing the BO3 version, but the World at War version has its own good stuff to it because it is a difficult map. Like, the zombies in World at War tend to pull you in, and it's a close quarters map, so you're frankly gonna die pretty early on. And so yeah, Verrückt is pretty good, and it's got, of course, World at War has pretty good weapons, and It's also pretty weird to go back and play the World at War version because you don't have the signature characters yet, so you have like those Marines. Like, I'm pretty sure you play as like, I'm pretty sure the only character you probably could recognize is Tank Dempsey, but even then he does not sound like the Tank Dempsey we know and love. And speaking of which, let's move on. Shinonuma. Shinonuma, I don't know if I want to put it in good tier or average. I'm probably going to put it in average because high rounds get kind of boring. Not gonna lie, but it's better than Noct in my opinion. I'm just gonna say that because Shinonuma's a really fun map. It's got, of course, you got like the randomized perk houses, and that's kind of what. It's also the first map that introduced the Wonderwaff, but it's not the one that everyone thinks of when you think Wonderwaff. And it also has dog rounds, which is pretty good. And if you're playing the World at War version, it's easy as pie. Like, it's a max spawn of 24 zombies, and you mainly play it for high rounds on World at War, but I'd say the BO1 version's the best in this department. Yeah, it's a bit of a hot take, but I think the BO1 version's the best because it's the most difficult. But even then, Shinonuma's an easy map, and I do like the kind of fact that this is like the first map that introduced our main 4 crew: Richtofen, Dempsey, Takio, and Nikolai. And yeah, they're pretty cool. And they do get better in like later maps in terms of character, but this is where they introduced them. And you also got the cool meteor. You got, of course, I forgot to mention, in Baruch and Shinonuma, they introduced the Easter egg songs. And man, oh man, every map has a pretty good Easter egg song. Like, oh man, oh man. If there's one thing that can get you back going to play a zombies map, it's listening to the Easter egg song while mowing down zombies. It's just a vibe. And Shinonuma's interesting in the fact that like this map can be a little weird when it comes to like water too, because there's zombies that can spawn out of the water and they can get you pretty good. It's still an easy map, but if you're like kind of a noob, then I guess I like how I said noob unironically. But yeah, Shinonuma, good map. Okay, now we're getting into one of my favorite maps, Derice. I'm not going to say it's like my favorite map of all time, but I'm going to put it in near perfect. It did a lot for zombies, I'm going to just tell you that. So what Derice did, it invented the Pack-a-Punch. It of course had the whole story between like Richtofen just killing Maxis, and that's kind of what happened. And you got like, of course, Beauty of Annihilation, which is just perfect. And I think it just has the perfect layout. You got like pretty much, it's like kind of like in a way a triangle, if you think about it. On one side you got one of the teleporters, and you got another teleporter on the other side, and then a teleporter on the far right, and then like you got power in the middle of that triangle. And it's a pretty seamless map. You can get around it pretty quickly, and of course it had the dogs. It's got monkey bombs. It invented the monkey bombs, which is pretty good. But Pack-a-Punch is what really drives it home. Like, it invented Pack-a-Punch, which it's perfect. I love Derice. Derice has got a good. I also have fond memories of playing this map on BO1. Like, I had the Resurrection DLC, and man, oh man, I've played Derice so many times, like too many times to count. Of course, the World at War version is probably the best when it comes to weapon lineup, but all the versions of Derice are pretty good. Hell, even the Giant, which I'll get to, it's not as good as this Derice, or it's not as good as BO1 and World at War Derice, World at War Derice especially, but man oh man, Derice is just amazing. Kino de Toten. Here we go, we're getting to the BO1. We're getting to my first map, Kino de Toten, which I'm going to put into good tier. So yeah, Kino de Toten, I guess I'll put it ahead of Baruch, mainly just because of nostalgia, but Kino is a good map. It's just, I've played it so many times as a kid because it was like the first map I ever played when I got my hands on Black Ops 1. And it's a good map. It's got, I'd say, like, it has the Thunder Gun, it's like a stage, and it was supposed to be a World at War map, but it was just made into the launch map of BO1. And Kino is a pretty good map. You mainly just go through the inside area, because the outside area tends to be difficult to get to power with, and it's got some good training routes. What else do I have to say? Well, it's kind of hard to think of stuff, but you got a teleporter that takes you to Pack-a-Punch. You got You got 115, which is an iconic song. You got Nova Crawlers, which I do not really like that much of. Funny thing about Nova Crawlers, I'm gonna have a really big hot take once we get to a certain map. That's just what I'm saying. Like, this is so far the best map I'd say is Derice in my opinion, but there's gonna be a lot of contenders for S tier in my opinion. And I'm gonna also be pretty nice to some of the spin-off maps as we go along. But going back to Kino de Toten, it's got, of course, it was my first map ever and my introduction to zombies, and it's actually a pretty good starter map for any beginner looking to get into zombies. Like, I think Kino is like the best map for a beginner. That and Noct and Kino are like the best two launch maps to get into if you want to play zombies. Mainly, but that also just stems from the fact that the other launch maps are not beginner friendly in my opinion. But yeah, I think I'm done talking about Kino, and next up is 5, and I'm going to have a hot take about this. 5, better than Kino de Toten. Great tier. I was originally going to put it in S tier, but it's still got the beginning, it's still got the trappings of like an early map where there's not much to do in high rounds, but you got an iconic cast. You got JFK, you got Nixon, and you got Castro. Oh, and Robert McNamara's there too, but it's a good map, and it's got, like, the Pentagon Thief, which is, like, one of the best bosses, in my opinion. Like, if you kill the Pentagon Thief before he even takes a weapon, you get basically a discount on your Pack-a-Punch, which is just amazing. And if you kill him just after he takes a weapon, you get a fire sale, and that's a great way to set up. And you can just set up in, like, the early rounds with, like, the MPL and, like, the starting room, and then just pretty much just break the game from there. And it does have the Winter's Howl, which isn't that good of a wonder weapon if I'm being honest, but in the early rounds it could be fun to use. And of course you can, if you're playing solo, you can train in like the war room in the bottom floor of the war room, or just basically the ground level. But if you're like playing like co-op, you would definitely want to like camp by the Juggernog area, and it's got an Eminem song for like an Easter egg, which is pretty fun. In the teleporters being like this kind of sort of, what was it? The teleporters being some sort of like kind of beacon of chaos with the fact that you don't know where you're gonna go is pretty good, but there is some kind of ways to know. If you play the map long enough, you'll know kind of where the teleporters will take you. Like, if you take the middle one, it's highly likely you're gonna go to like a different floor. That's just something I learned from playing the map a lot. And I've done high rounds of this map, where I've tried doing high rounds. Like, my highest round is 30, which isn't that grand or spectacular for 5, but man, oh man, it's fun to do when you're just kind of just off, like, watching something, or it's like doing something else. It's kind of like a little, yeah, I was gonna say it's like Subway Surfers. Nah. I don't know, it's just kind of like something you can do while you're in the background talking to your friends, playing 5. But it's still a hard map if you don't know what you're doing. But I like it. Next up is Ascension, and Ascension I'm gonna put into A tier as well. Ascension's a pretty good map. It's like it's the starter map too. Like, if Kino wasn't a starter map already, Ascension's easy as hell. Like, you got that whole training area by PhD. You can use PhD and pretty much break the game with ray gun and other such explosives. Like, you can dolphin dive off the stairs and kill hordes without using any ammo. Ascension's just a pretty easy map, and it sucks that PhD was removed in the Chronicles version. And I would honestly put the Chronicles version a little bit lower, just because it's kind of like, because of that, but I wouldn't bump it down a tier just because it's still, at the end of the day, it's still Ascension, and Ascension's pretty fun, and you can cheese the monkeys, and oh yeah, the space monkeys, I might as well talk about them. Okay, so the space monkeys, yeah, they are pretty annoying, so if you really want to run all the perks you want on this map, you don't, trust me you don't, because you won't be able to defend them at all. And I kind of wish there was a way to defend them. Like, it would be much better if you could defend them, like, on your own. But if you're playing, like, co-op, you can get around this by just working together. But if you're playing public lobbies, that's gonna be kind of hard to do, honestly, unless you're communicating. Okay. Here's going to be another one I'm going to kind of put in a pretty high tier. I'm going to say Call of the Dead is near perfect in my opinion. Yeah, it's a bit of a hot take, well, I'm not sure I'd say hot take, because I think Call of Duty's a great map, and it's like the bottom of STN in my opinion. I think it's pretty good, and it's mainly just nostalgia talking for me. You know what? Actually, I'll bump it down to great. I'm gonna put it in great tier. It's like, it's near perfect, but not near perfect at the same time. I'm just gonna say, its wonder weapons really drag it down for me, because its wonder weapons do fall off pretty early, except if you're using Scavenger's. Scavenger's pretty good, but I mean the VR11 sucks. But you got like George Romero. It's pretty iconic, and the fog's pretty annoying. Which, yeah, I kind of wish the fog just disappeared once you turn on power and kill George. But yeah, that's just the makings. But I like the cold map. I like the cold atmosphere of it. It's really fun. Okay. I don't know what else to say about Call of Duty. It's pretty cool that they made it the finale, I guess, but I kind of wish we got a more grand finale for BO4. Yeah, that's about all I have to say about Call of Duty. It's just a good map. Just a great map. Next up is Shangri-La, which I would put in average. I'll put it above Shinanuma. So, Shangri-La is a pretty fun map. Like, it's a map I used to hate as a kid, because yeah, I played this map as a kid. I played BO1 as a kid. I was one of those squeakers. If you know what a squeaker is, then man oh man. So Shangri-La is like a pretty good map. It's a, what's it called? It's a really close quarters kind of map. And if you know what you're doing, you can kind of do well in it. But it's a map that can get kind of hard if you don't know what you're doing. Like, you got like the Shrieker and the Napalms, and they kind of get in your way. And you can use them to your advantage. Trust me, you can. And the baby gun is like an amazing weapon. Like, using the baby gun with like PhD and like the Mustang and Sally, it's like a broken strat on Shang. And of course, just if you train in the minecart area, you can like get to pretty high rounds. Like, I've gotten around 30 on Shang before, and it's like really fun. Though I will have to say the baby gun is like really hard to get in. Oh, I forgot to mention, Call of the Dead has like, I know Call of the Dead is like one of the first solo Easter eggs you can do, but like Shang and Ascension also have their Easter eggs too, but I've never completed either of them. The thing with Shang's Easter egg is I kind of wish like it was solo, like you could do it in solo, just because I'm pretty sure like in the BO1 version, you can't do the super Easter egg unless you complete Shang and Call of the Dead. Now, Call of the Dead you can just do on your own, but Shang can't. And the reward for completing the Easter egg you can't really do on your own. And I'm just putting it in average because while it's a unique map, Shangri-La is, it's definitely not one of my favorites. It's got its own problems to it, but I still like it. It's like, I wouldn't be opposed to playing it. Next up is Moon, and I gotta say, Moon's a good map. I'm gonna put it above Kina de Toten. Moon's a really fun map. It's like, of course, it's in space, which is always a plus, because space maps are awesome. And, well, it's got some problems I don't like about it, but I think the positives really outweigh the negatives on this one. Like, the wave gun's amazing, using the hacker to basically do stuff around the map is fun, and the Easter egg is one I've actually completed before, which I'm going to say the Easter egg is amazing. It has the best ending of all the Zombies maps. You literally blow up the Earth. How cool is that? You get to play Samantha too if you're playing as Richthofen, which is always a plus. And it's like probably the most story focused in terms of like Easter eggs. Like, when you think Moon, you think the Easter egg, and I just like training in the biodome. Of course, you got all the weapons. This map also invented Mule Kick, which Mule Kick's a good map. I'm just gonna say it's such a good map. Man, oh man, now we're moving on to BO2, which I gotta say is the most mixed bag of mixed bag games. Like, it's got some of the best maps of all time, and then it's got some of the worst maps of all time. Well, by worst maps of all time, I just mean Bus Depot. I hate Bus Depot. It's painful. It sucks. It's like one of the worst survival maps you could play. So, hey, yeah, take Knocked. Yeah, you take Knocked, and then you just add lava around it, and then pretty much just add only one room, and you cut one room out, and boom, that's all there is to it. And yeah, it just becomes like a pain in the butt to play, and why would you really want to play on this map? It's only like fun for like 5 minutes, and then it's just like, nah, it's boring now. Oh wait, why did I put it? Oh wait, I was about to say, I thought I put Buzz Depot in average because I saw Nox thumbnail and I was like thinking, why did I put Buzz Depot there? But nope, I put it in painful because that's where it belongs. It sucks. I'm gonna say farm is I don't really like farm. I'm gonna put it in bad, but it's just a lackluster survival map. Like, I don't really want to play farm. If I'm gonna play a survival map, I'd play town, and we'll get to town. Farm would have been more fun if you could grind on that map and like put stuff in the fridge for you to use in transit. Like, if the weapons somehow carried across different maps, I think it would be a better map. Like, you could like put like some sort of like, I don't know, you could put the RPD in the fridge and then go to transit, get the RPD out and use it. That would be really fun. And you could have done the same thing with town too, but I can see why they didn't do it, but it would have been so cool. Like, town, I think, can at least stand on its own, and I'm going to say town is a good map. Would I put it above Verrucht, though? Decisions. I'm just going to say Verrucht is just above town, just because I like maps that stand on their own and are not just part of the maps. But town, don't get me wrong, town is a good map. Like, town is, like, really fun with friends, and you can, like, customize it however you like. That's also another reason why I don't like Farm and Bus Depot. You can't customize them. Like, I'm pretty sure you can with town and I think farm somewhat, but town is the one you can do. I just know Bus Depot you can't do any of that with. You have to play on round 1. It's just boring as hell. But town's a great map. You got, like, it's the one map that actually makes early Tombstone actually pretty good, because you can, like, if you're playing with friends, you could have 4 perks, one of them Tombstone, and then go down, buy the other 2 perks, and get all 6 perks on town. And then, of course, it's just town. If transit town actually had weapons, that would be this map, and an easy pack-a-punch. Like, pack-a-punch is just in the middle, and you can just pack-a-punch at the start if you're, like, have enough points. Next up is transit, and frankly, transit's a guilty pleasure of mine, but it would be a crime to put it in average. I'm gonna put it in bad, top of bad. Like, transit is fun with friends, like, it's like one of the most fun things you can play, but if you're playing transit, you gotta kind of turn your brain off. It's like one of those maps. You got like the bus, which could be pretty fun. Like, you just have like 4 players just training around the map. Like, you have 1 person in diner, you have 2 people over at power station trying to hold out, and then you got 1 person in town just kind of, I don't know, trying to build the jet gun. That's what I sometimes do. The jet gun. Oh god, the jet gun. I like building it just because I like exploring like big maps like transit, but it is such a slog to build and such a bad weapon. But it's like a guilty pleasure map, like I said. If you're playing with like friends, it's amazing, but if you're playing with solo, I put it in painful, but I think it averages out. Like, I say it's like fun with friends, but like very bad on solo. And if you're doing the Easter egg, good lord, you do not want to do the Easter egg on transit. The only reason you're going to be doing the Easter egg on transit is if you want to see the endings in Buried, which we'll get to Buried at some point, but both sides are terrible. Like, if you're playing on the Maxis side of the Easter egg for transit, man oh man. There's going to be a lot of box luck you're going to need for Richtofen side, but for Maxis' side, you have to wait until Avogadro can even spawn in your area, which takes forever, half. I think even one time when I was trying to do the Easter egg, he just despawned, like, because I was too far away. It's bullshit. It's an entirely bullshit step. Like, why do we have to wait for... Why can't Avogadro just, like, be on one side of the map and just slowly make my way over to him? Why does he have to spawn in one specific area for him to even make sure he doesn't despawn? It's stupid. Sorry, I just had to get that out there. And if you're doing the Richtofen side, you have to deal with a lot of box luck. And I forgot to mention Moon has a lot of box luck, but at the very least, Moon has an amazing payoff. Transit doesn't have an amazing payoff. All that your payoff is literally just a glowing tower. Yippee. And funny thing about Transit too, it's got like a Nocturne Totem inside it, which I find fun. If they made Nocturne Totem in an actual survival map, or like the Cornfields a survival map, I think I would actually put that around where town is, if it was pretty good. Like, if it had, like, perks, you had Nocturne Totem be the main starting area, I think that would have been a cool map. It would have been really fun for things like Reef, and it would have been fun for, like, Turned. Next up is Nuketown Zombies, and, oh man. Nuketown, I'm sorry to do this to you, bud, but I'm putting you below Transit. I'm going to put it at least above Farm, because Nuketown is at least its own map, and it's something you could play. It's just, Nuketown gets boring after like high rounds. The only reason you're going to get to round 25 is if you want to see that little detail of the zombies turning to become Richtofen zombies instead of Samantha's. It's a map that takes place between, it's a map that takes place during Moon, but, man oh man. Nuketown is not really the map I wanted to play. And speaking of maps I think are pretty bad too, Die Rise. I'm gonna put Die Rise below Transit but above Nuketown. Yeah, Die Rise isn't one of the, it's not a good map. I'm just gonna say that. There's many moments where you can just get screwed over by the map itself. Like, the zombies aren't the issue, it's the map. Though it does have the best version of the Nova Crawlers. I'd say Moon has the worst version, but Die Rise has the best because the Nova Crawlers are jumping jacks and they can actually give you perks if you're actually smart with how you use your traps. And you got the Sliquifier, which is what saves it from being a painful map in my opinion. Like, the Sliquifier is amazing, and Who's Who is really quite the crappy perk. Like, yeah, you're not going to really revive yourself. If it functioned how it did in Cold War, or how it functioned how Tombstone did in Cold War, because it's pretty much Who's Who. Let's not kid ourselves. But I like the setting of Die Rise at the very least, and it was one of those maps as a kid I was like, oh, I want to get this map, but I'm glad I didn't pick this DLC up. Now let's talk about the map I really love, like one of my favorites, Mob of the Dead. It's near perfect. If there's a map that I love to go back to, it's Mob of the Dead. It's set in Alcatraz, and it's actually, fun fact, it's based off the actual, like, Alcatraz. Like, Jason Blundell and his crew went to Alcatraz on, like, a tour just to see the map itself, and it's kind of close to how it looks, like, from what I've heard. In Mob of the Dead, you got the Golden Gate Bridge, you got Pack-a-Punch, you got Brutus, you got it all, man. It's got the Blundergat, which is a really fun weapon. It's not my favorite wonder weapon of all time. The Blundergat can actually be upgraded, and that adds to so much replayability. The one thing I don't like about Mob, and this is no knock against it, but because I think it's my favorite personally, but I'd say that the perk variety is kind of letting it down a bit, but Mob of the Dead is so much fun that I don't care. Next up is Buried, and I'm going to say Buried's a great map. When I put it above Call of the Dead, I think I would, honestly. So, Buried's a great map. I'm just going to say Buried is, it's so much fun. It's literally a town underground, and you got some overpowered wonder weapons with, like, the Mark II and the Paralyzer. And using the Paralyzer to fly around the map is really fun. And I think this is actually, it's pretty interesting to actually get your reward on this map, because if you're doing the Richtofen side, you get like an infinite fire sale, which is really cool. And then, of course, there's a guaranteed zombie power-up if you do Nexus side, but I think Richtofen's side is better. And you got Leroy, who you can, like, feed him alcohol and have him just, like, open up the map, and you can also have him do crap for you, like, go find buildable parts. Like, that's so cool! It's literally, like, a power fantasy. That's what Buried is. Like, you got, like, some overpowered stuff you could do on the map, and even the boss zombies on this map aren't too big of a deal to deal with. It's literally the witches, and the witches are pretty cool in terms of story, because it's supposed to be, what's his name? Old Jeb Brown. Jeb Brown, the blacksmith's mother, and basically she saw her mother die and put him in the machine, and that's what made the ghosts, or the witches, which is pretty cool. Like, Buried is like, it's kind of like the origin of where Pack-a-Punch came from in the original story. And speaking of origins, Origins, which I'm actually gonna put in the top of Great Tier. Yeah, it's kind of weird that I'm putting Origins pretty. It's weird that I'm putting Origins in like Great Tier, but it's like it's the kid who got 100% in class, but didn't get anything higher in my opinion. Like I think it's a perfect map, but it's not like perfection like these two are. I don't know. It's weird that I'm saying that. Like I think there's some things that keep Origins down in Great for me. Like you're gonna be in a certain mindset to play Origins. Like Origins is like the serious Sam of the maps. Like if you're playing this map to do Easter egg questy stuff, you're playing Origins. And Origins, like, will kick your ass if you don't know what you're doing. Like, round 8 comes, you're dead. If you don't know what you're doing. Like, the Panzer will just, like, fucking kill you. And, yeah, just restarting every time to just at least get a chance at surviving past round 8, it's tiresome, and you have to have stamina on this map. It's a requirement, I'm just gonna say that, because the mud on this map can be so unbearable, which, yeah. I don't know, I just find it a bit overrated, honestly. Yeah, that's gonna probably give me a lot of comments, negative comments saying, it's still a great map, like, I think if it, I don't know, I'm just saying, like, Origins is, like, a great map, but it's just not my favorite. Okay, Outbreak. I've only played a little bit of Outbreak, and so we're on to Advanced Warfare. So this ought to be interesting. I think Outbreak is good. I'd put it below Town in my opinion. I think Outbreak's good. Like I need to play more of it to actually. It's a pretty simple map, which is to its benefit honestly, because Outbreak is like exo zombies, and exo zombies can be a little more complex than like regular zombies. Okay, I don't really have much to say about the Advanced Warfare maps because I only played them for like a few minutes, but I think Outbreak is like at least pretty good. And next up is Infection, which I'm gonna put in like I might put it in. I don't think the I'm really tempted to put it in Painful. You know, I'm gonna put it top of Painful. Yeah, I think the thing with Infection that I find kind of like painful is like the fact that it can block off certain parts of the map, and then there's like an escort mission. Like if you fuck up the escort mission, it's like it's just such a pain. And of course, it's like getting to like the quarantine zone and like the bottom area can be kind of a pain in the ass. And while I love the boss there's just the boss can pretty much fuck you over. Like it's like a I don't know, it's like a juggernaut dude with like a hammer. I don't know. I just find while Infection has a cool map design, I just think it feels a bit cumbersome. I don't know. It just from when I played, it's just kind of I can kind of feel what people say when they say Infection is like, Carrier's alright. I'm gonna put Carrier in like average, below Noct actually. Like I'd rather play Nocturne Totem than Carrier. I've only played Carrier for a bit, and Carrier's just alright. I might need to play more of it for me to appreciate it more, probably. Descent, I think, is the best Exo Zombies map. I'm just gonna say it. It's the best. It's not great in my opinion. I just think it's good. It's under the water, which is pretty cool. It reminds me of Leviathan from Black Ops 3's mods. Which, yeah, I didn't include that because we'd be here forever if we ranked maps that were basically on that. Here we go, Shadows of Evil. We're on to BO3 now. We're into like stuff that I'm now familiar with. Like, I'm gonna say Shadows of Evil is like an S tier map. I don't know if I like it more than Mob of the Dead or not. It's like, it's the trifecta of amazing. Yes, and I really love Shadows of Evil. It's the one thing I do gotta knock against. One thing I gotta say that I don't really like about Shadows of Evil is that, well, let's just say that the Easter egg, you can't finish it on solo, which is pretty much a pain, and I do like the, what's it called? While I do like the, what's it called? The Apothecant Servant, I wish it was upgradable like it is in Revelations. Like, it was originally going to have an upgrade process in Shadows of Evil, but it was scrapped, which is kind of stupid, because I think this thing runs out of ammo so quickly, and people saying it's like the best wonder weapon, I don't really think so. I'm going to be a contrarian on that. Like, I think there's some better Wonder Weapons in my opinion, but I think it's still pretty powerful, and the Marvel is one of the best bosses of all time in my opinion. Like, it's one of the best, like, bosses that show up mid-round that can kind of mess with you, because it gives you so much points if you kill him. And it's just so iconic. I'm actually going to put the Giant a tier below Darius. Like, I think it's a good map. I'm going to put it above 5. I'm going to just say that, you know what, I don't want to move stuff around. I've already kind of made my decision on Ascension being lower than 5. But I'm going to put the Giant in, like, A tier, because it's still Darius, but it's just not as great as the original Darius. Like, you play as Primus, which Primus is good, but I don't know, I just prefer playing as Ultimus for Darius. If I'm on a Darius fix, I'm going to be playing either Declassified, I'm going to either be playing the BO1 version or the World at War version. I'm not going to be playing the Giant. Though, I guess it's a good casual map if you don't have any of the DLCs. Like, Shadows of Evil is like the on-disc map, but I think for what it did, I gotta respect it. Der Eisendrache. I love Der Eisendrache. I'm gonna put it in near perfect, actually. I just think it's a better version of Origins. Yeah, I said it. It's in a castle, which is pretty fun. You got the 4 bows. Like, the stabs were great and all, but I think the bows were so much more balanced, and I just really love the bows. You got the storm bow, which is the one I always have to get. And I love using the storm bow. But the void bow is also pretty good. This is like one of the first maps to actually have a pretty good boss fight. Like, Shadows of Evil had a boss fight, but it was just kind of like, oh, just put stuff on the pedestals and walk around and then shoot the guy. It's pretty lackluster and boring. But Der Eisendrache had like a boss fight where you had to like put the rags in, and then you had like a bunch of panzers spawning down at you. And you blow up the moon. That's pretty iconic. Like, I know Moon pretty much did that first, but Der Eisendrache, you can either like just play it casually with like bows and such, or you could play it with like, jeez, I'm getting stuffy. Or you could play it with like, you could go for the Easter egg, go all out. It's like one of those maps that's like more casual kind of, but it's still got some complexity to it. It's got the best of both worlds. And man, oh man, this is gonna be a hot take, but I love Zetsubo no Shima. I'm gonna put it in S tier. Like, it's got like the KT4, which is one of the best Wonder Weapons, I'd say. Like, what he can do is like, it's a slept-on Wonder Weapon. Do I put it above Shadows of Evil though? You know what? I'm gonna kind of. I'm gonna put it above Shadows of Evil. That's gonna be a bit of a hot take as well, but I love Zetsubo. Zetsubo's so much fun. What you can do in Zetsubo is like, it's like a quest-based map again, but you got like the KT4, which is like the Sliquifier, but if it was on a better map. And then you got like, it basically can shoot like spores to go really fast. You can make zombies turn into plant matter and kill them. And then you got the giant spider, which is fun to fight. Tokyo, not as much fun as the spider, but you got a cool training room out of it if you do complete the Easter egg. And you got like the Scolding on Softway. You got a bunch of cool stuff. You can even make your own like Thrasher that fights for you. And the Thrashers, while more annoying than the Marg was, you know what? I'm gonna move it down just for that. I'm gonna put Shadows of Evil above Zetsubo just because Shadows of Evil is a little more, I guess I'd say casual friendly, just because Zetsubo, if you really want to go for like the high round and such, you want to complete the Easter egg because you want that room, or you want that, what's it called? You want that little training room where the boss fight takes place. Like, that's actually like one of the better places to be at. And then my number 3 favorite map of all time, I'm just gonna say this, Garod Krovi's amazing. Like, I was originally gonna say Der Eisendrache's better, but Der Eisendrache is more kind of, what's it called? I'm gonna say it's more versatile in what you can do, because Garod Krovi's pretty hard. Like, Garod Krovi, you gotta be in a certain mood to play. Like, kind of, sort of like Origins, like I said, but with Garod Krovi, you got, like, the dragons, you got, like, fire. It's pretty fun. In Stalingrad, you got, like, the PPSH, which returns from World at War, which, the PPSH was awesome. And the Mark III, I'd say the Mark III is pretty cool. It's not as cool as the bows, but you can, like, make, like, portals, and the Easter egg is pretty simple, surprisingly, for Garod Krovi. It's just a bunch of challenges, but man oh man, do I freaking hate that stupid-ass Valkyrie step. The Valkyrie step is like the worst step on that list. Like the bomb step is even surprisingly more bearable because with the bomb step you can kind of just plan your route accordingly. But like with the Valkyrie step, you have to kind of have a gobble gum to get through it. Like you of course can try and like do it without the gobble gum, but you're gonna get mobbed by zombies and you'll accidentally kill the Valkyrie. It's just such a pain in the ass. But the boss fight's amazing. Like both boss fights, the Dragon and Nikolai. Like I think Nikolai's more fun of a boss fight because you got like you got the Soviet anthem playing while you got a mech chasing after you, shooting roly polies at you. Like that's fun. Man, oh man. Okay, I gotta calm down a bit. Let's talk about a map that I just think is good. And that's Revelations. Do I put it? I guess I'd say Descent would play a bit more. Like, Revelations is a good map, but it's pretty much a mismatch of every single map that came before it. Like, you got a bit of Chino thrown in there, some Origins, you even got a bit of Mob of the Dead and Baruch in there. It's just like a mismatch, kind of. And while it's kind of cool that it takes place in Space again, yeah, it's more kind of like the worlds are destroyed and it's like the multiverses. I don't know, you got like the multiverse around you, and you got a bunch of like flying apothecans, and you even got like upgraded stuff. You can even get like the upgraded apothecant servant in like god helmets and all that such, but I just think it's a fun, like, it's another like one that I think is like a power fantasy like Buried, but it's not as great as Buried, I'd say. Like, what I mean by power fantasy is that you got like a bunch of wonder weapons, you got like the thunder gun, you got the apothecant servant, you got little Arnie's, you got ray guns. You got it all, man. And you, of course, could summon, like, keepers to help you out, kind of like in Shadows of Evil, where you could summon a civil protector. Okay. Here comes another map that I really love. Zombies in Spaceland. Near perfect. I'm gonna put it above... do I put it above Shadows of Evil? Nah, I'll put it right here above Derice. It's a theme park, dude. That's awesome. Like, I always wanted to have an amusement park zombies map. You got like roller coasters where you can like get a bunch of points for like killing zombies and like shooting like little like targets. It's kind of like the target step in Buried when you do the Easter egg, but when you're it's just something you can do as like a fun little occasion. You can play like skee ball. You can like throw coins and win like a freeze ray. It's like a shotgun beam freeze ray, which is really cool. It just Zombies in Spaceland is just silly fun. I love it. Next up, I think, is Raven the Redwoods, which I think is... I'm going to kind of put it at the top of average. I need to play it more. I just think it's a good map. Should I put it in good? I think I had too much stuff in good. I think Rave is, like... From what I played of Rave, it's pretty alright. I'd say it's, like, a bit better than Shang, in my opinion. It's like a summer camp. Like a horror slasher summer camp, which is really cool. And yeah, I really like. I kind of like how it's like you can like turn it kind of, I don't know, neon. And I think there's like a slasher. There's Bigfoots that chase after you, which is cool. I'm kind of tempted to put it in a good tier and move Outbreak down a tier. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I know I said I wasn't gonna move stuff around after I put stuff down, but now that I played Outbreak, I think it's just an average map. It's like something you would just play if you wanted to see what Exos was all about. But yeah, let's talk Shaolin Shuffle, and I think Shaolin Shuffle is like the second best map on Infinite Warfare. I think it's I'd say it's about as good as, I would say it's good as Kino, yeah. I'm gonna put Shaolin there. The thing with Shaolin I love is that the karate is pretty fun. You can like throw like ninja stars, you got nunchucks. It's like one of those silly, fun kung fu movies, but an actual zombies map. And the map itself is not that bad in terms of like layout. It's like got a giant dance slash kind of, I don't know, it's got some giant dance club in the middle, and then you can just go over to the strip club and pack a punch. You got like, of course, trains. You got a giant like sewer system you can camp train in. It's like that'll be like your training area of the game. Attack of the Radioactive Thing. Okay. Now we're getting into the maps I just think are kind of eh. And Radioactive Thing is an eh map. Like, it's like pretty cool. Like, it's got like the color scheme of like an old colored movie. But I do find the bosses annoying, and like the sludge around the map kind of a bit of a pain in the butt to play. I don't know. It's just kind of eh. And then Beast from Beyond. I think it's my least favorite IW map by a long shot. I'm gonna actually put this right here. And say, I think Beast from Beyond is more infuriating than Bus Depot, but I remember it more. It's pretty much, the thing with Beast from Beyond is every round is a dog round. It's, you got like cryptids that chase after you every single round, and you don't get a fucking break. It's such a pain in the ass. Okay, now we're on to World War II. We're only halfway there. Oh man, this is just gonna get even more crazy as it goes along. I should have brought some water for this. And honestly, World War II Zombies is pretty underrated, all things considered. So let's first start off with its introductory level, Groston House. I'd say Groston House is an average tier. I'd put it like a little bit below, I'll put it right here. Groston House is like your beginner map. It's only got, I'd say it's only got like, it's pretty much is devoid of content as Bus Depot, but at least with Groston House it's got a cool intro, and even then it doesn't have lava around the map constantly, and it doesn't have all that bullcrap. It's its own unique map level. Like, you got like a zombie jump scare at the start, and then you got like a shovel, and it's a pretty really close quarters map too. It's like if you made Knock even more condensed and more kind of chaotic. I just think it's a little worse than Knock in terms of survival map. Next up is the Tortured Path, which I'm actually going to put in painful. I'm going to put it above Infection. I think it's a painful experience. It's a pretty lame game mode. It's like if you basically took Gauntlets from BO4 and just basically made... The survival maps are like the best part of it, because you get 3 survival maps out of the Tortured Path based on the maps, but you don't get any perks. I don't think you get any of that stuff. You got kind of just have to survive and do a bunch of stupid tasks. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about Tortured Path. The Final Reich I actually think is a great map. I'm going to put it, not in S tier, I'm going to put it in A tier. Yeah, it's another controversial take of mine, but I actually love the Final Reich. It's like a snowy village with like, it's like a Nazi snowy village, and you got basically the equivalent to what is a Wonder Wog, and you can like chain it to make zombies' heads pop off. You got flamethrower mech dudes chasing after you in like the high rounds, and then it's like, it's got a pretty easy, simple Easter egg for you to do, where you just power up basically the bunker and all that. And you can like, there's like a, what's it called? You got a giant blimp just shooting down at you in like the high rounds if you decide to do the Easter egg, and it's a pretty well balanced map, because you can like get around the map through the bunker and get to like certain parts of the town. Though you do tend to be more in the bunker if anything, but it's pretty good. Darkest Shore. I think Darkest Shore, where would I put Darkest Shore? I'm gonna put it in, I kind of want to put it in bad, just because it's kind of like, of the fact the fog basically makes it hard for you to see. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of average. Like, it's got a cool wonder weapon, but like, I do find the fog a bit of a pain, and there's like a certain enemy that comes out in the fog that can just like one-shot you. It's like a pain in the butt to fight. Okay. Next up is the Shadow Throne, which I think the Shadow Throne is pretty good. Like, I like the map. It's kind of like if you took Grod Kroe but put it in a World War II setting. I'm gonna put it in, what's it called? I'm gonna put it in the bottom of good tier. The reason why I think so with Shadow Throne is like, you got a cool wonder weapon with like it's like the blunderbuss, but with like a wonder waft. That's pretty cool. It's like I think it's called the Wunderbuss. And you can basically, I think, absorb souls of the zombies to get ammo and like shoot them back at the zombies, which is actually a pretty cool concept. Though I do find doing the radios and all that stuff kind of bullcrap. I don't know. Frozen Dawn, I'm gonna put in average tier. I haven't played enough of it, I'd say, but Frozen Dawn's alright. Like, if you played it, it's like kind of like underground, like sort of reminds me of what Ancient Evil would be, but like it's more like kind of condensed into a cave setting. You got like a giant sort of like statue in like the underground portions, and then I'm pretty sure it has like 4 wonder weapons, which I haven't gotten to yet. I really need to play it more. My opinions might fluctuate once I actually start playing these maps more, but Frozen Dawn, I'm gonna just say, is like average. It's like the bottom of average. It's close to being bad in my opinion. I do find some things annoying about it. Voyage of Despair. Oh, brother. I'm gonna put Voyage of Despair at the top of Painful. So, yeah, this is the only map in BO4 I genuinely do not like. The thing with Voyage of Despair I find annoying is the map layout. Yeah. I'm gonna say it's Painful. It's like top of Painful. It's close to just being just bad, but there's something I do not like about this map. Like, the map is so confusing to get around, and doing anything is pretty complicated. Like, the Easter egg, to even get started with the Easter egg, the step is so bullshit. The clock step is stupid. And the Kraken's a cool wonder weapon, but it had to be stuck on a map like Voyage. And even trying to do basic things like get around the map and try to hold zombies is such a pain in the ass. It's probably fun with friends, but man oh man does it get boring. Dead of the Night. If we're talking like my favorites, if we're talking subjectively, I put it in S tier, but I'm just gonna put it at the top of good. There's a reason why I'm gonna put it at the top of good. Like, the vampires get so annoying, but it's got like such a cool atmosphere. It's Clue the map. It's like, if you know what Clue is, like the board game, yeah, it's kind of like zombies but with Clue mixed in. You got like, it's like a haunted house with like zombies, vampires, werewolves. It's pretty cool. Got like a grave site, and getting around the map is not too big of an issue. And I do love using Alistair's Folly. The Alistair's Annihilator is like really fun. I'm just gonna say it's just not the best map to play if you're wanting to play casually, because it's a pretty more complex map. It's like Origins, but even more so. It's like the amount of part locations. There's like way more part locations than Origins for you to remember. And trying to do the Easter egg is a bit of a like pain with like the scratch mark steps, but once you like do the steps themselves, it's actually pretty fun. You can like go into like afterlife, like you get crucified and then go into hell and fight, like follow a ghost. It's pretty cool. And there's like an invisible werewolf zombie, which I haven't gotten to yet, but like it's a fun map. Dead of the Night, like if Dead of the Night was on like BO3, it would be regarded as one of the best in my opinion. Because it's like supposed to be like kind of like the Shadows of Evil of BO4. Next up is 9, which I'm actually gonna put in great tier. Let's see where I would put it though. I'm gonna put it. I'll put it by Call of the Dead. You know what? I'm gonna. No, yeah, I'll put it above Call of the Dead. So the thing with 9 I really love is that it's like a Coliseum. You got like spectators like watching and cheering. It's like really fun. And then I'm just gonna say, I really just love the atmosphere. You got like you got gladiators, you got tigers, you got berserkers, you got it all, and then it's just. You can train around like the main middle Coliseum area if you really just want your fix of just training zombies, but you can also go around the maps. In the temples, the perks are like where the temples are, which that's good. That's a good design. Like you know like where you're getting your perks and where you're getting your parts and all that stuff. It's just really easy to pick up and play if you're playing BO4. Like this is like the starter map I'd recommend for BO4 players. This and Classified, which we'll get to. But yeah, I'd say 9 is like the map to play if you really wanted to play BO4. Now onto my favorite map of BO4. Do I put it above Shadows? You know what? I am going to do something really controversial. Ancient Evil above Shadows of Evil. I really love Ancient Evil. I wouldn't call myself a historian, but man oh man do I love the history. Like ancient Greece kind of thing with this map. You got like a Pegasus. You got a Pegasus staff, you got like gauntlets, you got the gauntlets of like Gaia, Hermes, Charon, and then of course you got like Zeus's Eagles, which like break open the Pack-a-Punch. You got like of course, this is the map that introduces challenges, or it's like one of the first maps to introduce like little challenge systems. I mean, I know 9 does it too, but I think this map does it the best because it's got like you can just like train in the Temple of Apollo, and then there's like, oh, go kill zombies over there at like the Pack-a-Punch area. You can do that, and you can basically just play it casually. But I haven't gotten to the Easter egg itself, but you got like an awesome boss with a forearm, the Gangies or whatever it's called, the forearm fucker who like uses the shield and like fires spears at you. It's just so cool, man. Ancient Evil is like one of the best maps, and like it's so gorgeous. It's like buried, but if it was like ancient Greece, it's amazing. Okay, now we're on to the Aether story side of the BO4 maps, and we got, oh god, Blood of the Dead. Blood of the Dead, I want to like you, but you do some stuff that pisses me off sometimes. Where do I put it, though? I like more complex maps, so I guess I would put it... do I want to put it below Frozen? I don't know where to put it. I want to put it in average, because I was originally going to put it in good tier, but I think there's some stuff that holds it back, honestly. You know what? Right here will do. So the thing with Blood of the Dead is, I like the map because it's literally Mob of the Dead again, my favorite map of all time, but it's with the Primus crew, which it sounds amazing. It's like a recipe for success. But this map does some stuff I really do not like. The shield. Yeah, for example, the big one, the shield. Like, if you want to upgrade stuff on this map, you're going to need that shield, and you're going to need to look around in Afterlife mode and use spirit bombs. It's stupid. Like, why did that have to be the central thing about this map? Like, why do I have to go around, like, to upgrade my Hell's Retriever? Why can't I just get kills and have it upgraded? Why do I have to go look around for, like, Hellhound, like, things with, like, your shield vision? Like, what's the point? And then, of course, don't even get me started on if you want to do the Easter egg. 40 different spawns for a frickin' bird! That's stupid! Like, what the fuck were you thinking, game developers? And man, oh man, like, this has, like, the most complex Easter egg of all time, and I do want to do it at some point, but it's so stupid! I don't get it. I don't get why they had to make this map so complicated. It's just Mob of the Dead. Mob of the Dead wasn't that complicated. It's literally just fill a plane 3 times and then you fight your friends. Or at the very least, it's just like, if you want to do the more complex stuff, you can. You can just get the weapon out of the box, which you can get the weapon out of the box, and you can do it the old-fashioned way, which I do give props for Blood of the Dead for. And you have probably one of my favorite like versions of the Blundergats, the Magma Gat, which I actually genuinely love. It's actually a really good weapon. And of course you got the cool run, where you run from like the earlier section to like the later section. There's just some stuff I don't like about it, like the fact that I have to use the shield for everything to look around with, like looking for stuff, if you want to do like the Easter egg and all that kind of bullshit. And then also, just getting kills with the shield can be kind of cumbersome when you have birds chasing after you. I don't know, I want to like it, and I do like it, it just does some things I don't like. Okay, next up is Classified, which I think 5 is better than Classified, but it's a great map. Like, if you want to play BO4, this is also like one of the best starter maps. 9 in Classified, really good starter maps. And then, I'm just gonna say, Classified is really fun. You got, like, of course, a better, improved Winter's Howl. It's a love letter to BO1 fans if you're playing BO4. You got No Man's Land where the Pack-a-Punch is. You got Elena Siegman singing again. You got, like, the Mark II. You got the Mark 1, which Mark II wasn't in BO1, but I don't know, it just feels like a love letter. You got Ultimus again. You can play as, like, the OG Ultimus crew. And the teleporters tell you where you go this time. It's just a simple map to play. Which is something that BO4 I think needs. Next up is Alpha Omega, and I'm just gonna say Alpha Omega, I kind of have beef with this map. Do I put it above Attack of the Radioactive Thing? I think I'll put it above Transit. Just because I like the complexities of Alpha Omega, and I think it's a little better than Nuketown, but not better than Nuketown. It's like, you got cool stuff with like the bunkers and like the codes you can do with Rushmore. Like if you want to look up the guides for some stuff on this map, it has a lot to it, and you got like interactions between the crews. Like you can have like Ultimus Dempsey talking with Primus Richtofen. That's pretty fun stuff. But it's got like some annoying enemies like the Jolting Jacks. Like the Jolting Jacks just shoot at you from like the roof, and then with like Pack-a-Punch can just randomly shut off one round, and you have to go fill up you have to go spin a valve in order to turn it back on. It's so stupid. But I think it's kind of cool as well. Like it gives some depth to like Ultimus Dempsey. I think you get to fight Avogadro again, which I haven't gotten to. But I just know like it's a little more it makes Nuketown Zombies more complex and a little more fun, but it's still Nuketown Zombies at the end of the day. Finally is Tagged or Totem, which I think is a great map. I'm not going to say... Actually, I wouldn't say great. I would say it's good. Not as good as Call of the Dead, but pretty good. Where do I put it, actually? I'll put it above... I'm someone who likes Easter eggs, so I'll put it above Shaolin Shuffle. I like Tagged or Totem. It's a good map. It's fun. You get to play as Victus again, and you got like snowballs. You can throw at zombies. You can like blow up certain parts of the map with dynamite. You got the Samantha music box, which would be used as like a monkey bomb, which is really fun. You got the Thunder Gun and Wonder Walk again, and then of course you got like the sniper variant and the Thunder Gun, which aren't as cool. But you got like Golden Pack-a-Punch, which is amazing. And it was supposed to be the finale of like all of like Treyarch zombies, and it was pretty sad, honestly. Like, I've seen the cutscenes and all. I haven't beaten Easter egg, which I know it seems pretty complex. Like, BO4 maps seem pretty complex, but I think with Tag, the way you just progress on this map is just by doing challenges, which isn't too bad. And at the end of the day, it's still Call of the Dead, which is a pretty great map. Okay, we're at the home stretch, baby. D Machine. I think D Machine is a good map. I put it above. You know what? I'll put it right here. You know what? No, I'll put it above Moon. No, it's on par with Moon. So the thing with D Machine is that it's a great casual map for Cold War players. Like, if you want to play Cold War, definitely play D Machine. It's basically Noct again, but you got more expansiveness with Noct, and you got like a ray sort of gun. Like it's called a die. It's called the die, and you can like the die shockwave. You can like blast things with like rays and like blow things up. You got different elemental variants of the ray or the die, the shock. I'm just gonna call it the shockwave. I keep saying ray because I'm thinking of the Ray Cave from Firebase Z, but we'll get to that soon enough. But D Machine is pretty simple, which I think is to its benefit. Like, if you're wanting to play a casual map, D Machine's another good, pretty much with Cold War, every map is on disc, or it's pretty much every map is, like, free. So, like, if you do buy Cold War Zombies, you are getting pretty much every single map, but I think D Machine is the best map to start out with if you're playing Cold War. Though, I do think with Cold War specifically is that the story kind of takes a hit because it's all told through freaking logs and all that, and you don't got a set crew anymore. It's just, I don't know. You just got operators, which is kind of lame. But you do get like things like the ray gun again, which is fun, and then of course perks are back, like actual perks, like not what BO4 did, just actual perk machines back, which is good. And I just think D Machine's a good map. Next up is Outbreak, and I am not a fan of Outbreak. I'm just gonna say that outright. I put Outbreak. I'm not gonna say it's painful, but it's just not my thing. Like, I'd rather play round-based maps. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of that just because I'd rather play all these bad maps, like, because they're round-based over Outbreak. If I wanted to play an open world thing with objectives, I'd just go play an open world game. I don't know. I know I'm probably gonna upset a lot of people with my opinions, but this is just how I feel. But I'd rather play Outbreak over these guys any day of the week. Then there's Firebase Z, which I think is average. Like, I'd say it's the top of average. Like, Firebase Z can be fun, but I do find, like, the bosses, like the mimics, such a pain in the butt. Though I do like the Reiki. The Reiki is really cool, even though I hear it got nerfed. Like, I just know the Reiki is, like, really fun to use. Like, it's like, you shoot it like a portal down and you can, like, make it expand and blow up things around you, which is really fun. And there is mainly one area you can train in that doesn't get you killed, which is fine. And I have fought the boss before, and the boss is interesting, to say the least. I think I fought him once, and he was just kind of like, he was there. You could fight him if you wanted to, and I think I died to him once. I don't know. Finally, I think the best Cold War map. The best map of Cold War, Mauer Toten. Yes. I love that it's kind of like a dark city. You got these, what are they called? I don't know, the cloaked hooded the cloaked hooded bastards who like try to like control the zombies and try to kill you with like beams and such. I'm pretty sure they're called, they're not Tempests. Tempests are like another enemy on the map. I just know they're Disciples. Yeah, Disciples. Yeah, the Disciples are pretty interesting and fun to use, or fun to fight. Though the Krasny Soldat is like a frickin' tank, and like, it's not like the Panzer Soldat. Like, I fought it a few times, and I think it like is really hard to kill compared to a Panzer Soldat. The Krasny Soldat is literally just the Panzer, but if it just used fire all the time, it's a pain to fight. Though I do love just the setting of like a dark city. Though I like how I say that when Forsaken is pretty much like that too, because they're both city maps. But I'm gonna say Forsaken's like Forsaken's the bottom of good. I think it's fun. Like, you got like zipline. You can zipline around the map like in Mauer Toten. Like, I think Mauer Toten does it better, but Forsaken is like more kind of like, I don't know. Forsaken is just interesting, to say the least. You know what? Forsaken, I'm gonna put it in C tier, top of above Firebase Z. Like, I'd rather play some Cold War maps over some of these maps. No offense. But yeah, this is my final tier list, with like Mob of the Dead being my favorite, with the Rise and Drakengard Krobi and Ancient Evil following. Like, Ancient Evil is like the biggest upset on this list, because I love Ancient Evil. And then, just man oh man, like, all these maps. Zetsubo is also another one that might upset people, just because Zetsubo is like, I love Zetsubo. Like, it's like it's like the most underrated of BO3's catalog, and I even put like Shadows, Garad, and Rise and Drag above it. That just goes to show how good those other three maps are too. Zombies in Spaceland is always a plus. Durice is like the best of near perfect, or the least of near perfect, not the best. That'd be Mob of the Dead. And then Origins is like the kid who gets 100%, like, but doesn't get anything above 100% in my opinion. That's kind of a weird analogy. I just think it's like, it can be described as the perfect map, but I don't think it's my favorite map at all time. Like, all of the stuff in Near Perfect can be classified as my favorite of all time. Though, if from what it looks like, yeah, it is in my top 10 still. Like, Origins and Buried, number 9 and 10. Yeah, and then 9 is also another one that might, I don't know. Like, I just know like a lot of people get kind of ruffled up when you mentioned BO4. Though to be fair, I was kind of harsh towards Blood the Dead. I could have been even more harsh towards it, and that might change in the future if I ever decide to go for the Easter egg. And Alpha Omega is like one I do not care for. Yeah, and down here we have like Beast from Beyond, all these maps fail in some way. Like, with Bus Depot, it's like, it's the most boring of all the maps. Like, if you make me bored playing a zombies game, what's the point? And then Beast from Beyond is like more infuriating, kind of, like, more than boring, because you're not going to be bored playing this map, I'm just going to say that much. You're going to have every round be a dog round chasing after you. But why does it have to be that way? You don't have any way to defend yourself. Like, if they had exo armor, it'd be a much better map. Infection is pretty good. It's just, the map itself is like the biggest focal point. Like, I do like the boss, like the sledgehammer juggernaut fucker. But, and Tortured Path is kind of stupid. I don't know, I'm gonna move Tortured Path below Infection. So, yeah, I just think the survival maps are what make this map, what at least make this map not the worst. Like, why would I play the Tortured Path when I could just play the survival versions of each 3 of these levels? And Voyage of Despair is like my least favorite of the main Treyarch games that is not Bus Depot. Because Voyage of Despair is like the characters are so unlikable in this, and then you got like a boring, you got an Easter egg that's like really hard to get into. You got pretty much a confusing layout. You got it's the Titanic too, which is the most upsetting thing. Because if this map was like on, I don't know, if this map was handled better, I think this would actually be in a top 10. But no, Voyage of Despair was handled pretty piss poorly in my opinion. Then Outbreak is just one that I don't really care for objective-based open world shit, so yeah. And then all this stuff is just either it's kind of like it's just there, or it's like a guilty pleasure. Like, I do like Alpha Omega in some occasions, but I just think objectively it's a pretty bad map. And then, of course, Nuketown I find a bit boring, but like fun in the early rounds. And then Average is just kind of like, I have either mixed feelings or just I'm like, on them, or they're just straight average like Nocturne Toten is. Yeah, so this is my final tier list. There's probably gonna be a lot of people who disagree with me, but yeah. Yeah, this is Metal Kid Doc signing out.